What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 21st edition of the MMA Bourbon Appreciation Society. 21 episodes.
We're legal.
We're finally legal.
So, does that mean we can graduate to Rise from whiskey?
Well, I think that's a great idea, especially since Mr. Nasello isn't here tonight.
Yeah.
Craig is taking some much-needed vacation time. We hope he's having a great one. I'm sure that he's going to pop into the comments also, but Craig is not a big fan of rye whiskey, so tonight we wanted to make it basically all about rye. I'm kind of stoked at the Sip, Sync, and Save tonight that we have in front of us here.
It's interesting.
We have a heck of a selection. By the way, Jeremy Johnson along tonight with Jim Range. Jim, 21 episodes.
It's crazy we got this far.
It really is.
And this all started as a joke, as we've said several times.
Yeah.
Sitting in a bar,
drinking.
whiskey ring, drinking, about the MMA Bourbon Society, and people are like, how do we join?
And now, here we go. So, but no, tonight, again, all about the rise. We are also going to be talking a lot of mixed martial arts tonight. The rise and fall of John Jones, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, the Bellator Grand Prix tournament. We've got it all tonight for you. But first and foremost, always we make a drink for you, which tonight I have come up with what I'm calling basically the Blackberry Cider Mule. Blackberry cider from a local farm here, Eckert's in the Missouri, St. Louis area. A little lime juice, some Walker's K Bourbon tonight. You can do this with a rye, but I always recommend the Walker's K Bourbon. Makes a great cocktail. And then, of course, finish off with ginger beer. So we're going to start out with 1.5 ounces of Walker's K Bourbon. Add in 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. 1.5 ounces of the blackberry cider. Shake that all together. Pour it into your glass, top with your ginger beer. You end up with a beautiful cocktail that producer Matt has already, I think, killed 2 of them tonight. Are we right? Yeah, he's got the look on his face.
It's beyond a sip. It's a drinker.
Absolutely, it is one of those. I am very upset. Yes, we are already getting some stuff in the comments that they're all missing Craig. We do apologize. Craig is in the chat room with us though, so he'll be answering your questions about anything you want to know. Basically, so
he should be here shortly.
Yes, he should. So, all right, though, Jim, we are going to start off tonight, though, with some big bourbon news. And that is that for the 2021 Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, and I'm going to let you explain what those are, there is no George T. Stagg this year. Tell us what happened.
So, yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit last show, the Antique Collection, because we were talking about our fall releases, right? So George T. Stagg, there's not going to be a 2021 release.
Right.
You've always got Eagle Rare 17. You had Sazerac 18.
Sure.
George T. Stagg, Thomas Handy.
Which is a beautiful pour, by the way.
Yes. As Jeremy goes for his third or fourth.
Exactly.
Maybe. But so it's always the annual release. It's a fall release. They all come out at the same time.
And it's a big thing. It's
huge.
This is what every collector wants. They want that particular year's Buffalo Trace Antique Collection.
William LaRue Weller is,
that's
the other one I was missing. So it's annual release. George T. Stagg this year was not up to par. And it was interesting.
Yeah. And it floored me whenever they came out and said this, that the barrel fell flat, as was the words that they used.
Yeah.
So
the profile was not aligned. It was too light and lacked character. Which, you think about it, that's what separates BTAC from everything else. That year after year, you get that consistent character with it. You know what to expect. You're going to have higher proofs, lower proofs. But, yeah, for them to say, we're not going with it. And they also talked about using a 2007 barrel.
Yeah.
Which would have put it at a 14-year versus 15. And they said, no, we're not going against it.
Well, the thing that gets me with it, though, is now does this make the 2021 BTAC collection more valuable because it's not there? Or does it make it a little less sought after?
Well, what's interesting is the prices on a 2020 Stagg jumped through the roof.
Yeah, that is a true statement.
So they did jump through the roof on it. I think it actually makes the rest of the collection because people do. You got a lot of people that have their very specific one they chase, and they want a Stagg, they want a Handy, they want a Weller. But when you look at it overall, there's people who want the collection. They want every one of them from every year. and I think it's going to make the rest of them a little more valuable when they come out.
I agree wholeheartedly. If you see them out in the wild, the prices are going to be insane this year.
If you see them in the wild, I think they're going to be realistic. If you outside the wild, they're not.
Well, no, I think that the stores that know what they've got are going to be the ones who gouges people again this year. And when I say gouges, I don't want to say that because people will pay what people will pay. But there are stores out there that are charging $500, $600 a bottle.
No, I agree with that. But your regular stores you go to, they're going to be the same if you're lucky enough to find it.
Right.
And that's the hard part. We've talked about it. Build your relationship with your stores. What's interesting to me, though, you know when George C. Stagg first came out?
When?
2002. You know what a bottle cost?
How much?
$40.
Well, I mean,
and that was hot. That was very expensive for a bottle of bourbon in the early 2000s.
Do you remember whenever Pappy Van Winkle 23 year was $120 a bottle?
Yeah.
And 10 year was 40. I mean, that's crazy thoughts now. And I think it goes back though to the idea of all of these allocated releases. And all these allocated releases where people aren't buying whiskey to drink anymore. People are buying whiskey to sell.
It's funny because that's one of the topics I was going to bring up to you with
Right.
it is, I mean, we've got up here, we're lucky enough through a connection of a connection of a connection that to find the Midwinter Night's Dram at retail this year.
That's
The amazing thing to me, though, and I jokingly call my mom, I go, what are you doing today? I need to go check a couple stores by your house. And my wife gave me trouble about it. I go, one, I got my mom out of the house.
right. I mean, that's
But-
fair.
I mean, you can't find it. And the crazy thing was the morning, the first of the month, when they were released, the day they started coming out, they were on sale on the secondary market for double.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
people are buying the bottles to sell them now. They're not buying to enjoy and drink.
Yeah.
That's what, to me, is the most crazy thing with the bourbon market right now. It's what money can I make off it, not that I wanted to enjoy it.
Right. It's become so crazy to see some of the jumps in pricing. I mean, I remember buying Elmer T. Lee bottles at $85 to $100, and now you can't touch one for under $400.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. I think that this is it the rise or is it the fall of the bourbon market? Does this now make it that just well-connected, well-to-do people can buy the good stuff?
I think it's interesting on how that's going to turn out with it because we know people that we
Sure.
we can leverage and pull connections, but even we don't get what we want.
No.
I mean, we're lucky enough to find something,
And
there's stuff that we will pay not secondary price. We'll pay higher prices for it because it's something we drink.
right.
I mean, we've talked about 90% of the bottles plus
Oh.
in our collection are open.
Yeah, if you look at some of the bottles that we have across the bar here tonight, I mean, every one of them is open. And it doesn't, I mean, there's a bottle of Pappy's 20 on my bar at home right now that's open. Actually, it's about 3/4
We drink
done.
them.
Yeah, we
So-
drink them. So drink
what's
your
funny,
whiskey, people.
I brought my mom up, and she's listening in. So kudos, Mom. I appreciate
That's
the support.
right. I am stoked that your mom is listening. So, but now tonight we are talking ryes. And that, like we said, Craig is not a rye guy. So, Jimmy, you are the rye guy of the group. Talk to me about what makes really a rye for you. What is the main grab that you like?
It's that little bit of a spiciness on the back end. I get that the flavor up front, that you get that little bit of fruit in that with it. Mm-hmm. But then on the back end, you get that spiciness. So you start out in one direction and wind up on another. And you can always pick up a little bit of the spice on the nose with it.
Oh, completely.
So to me, that's what stands out. And I'm a high proof guy too. But my ryes, there's low proof ryes, 90, 100 that I really like. There's some, I mean, this Handy I think is 126 proof.
Yeah, it's hot. But
125.7, so
it's hot.
Close.
I mean, we
I
did
mean,
happen to have a
we've
pour
got a
of
very
100.
big spectrum on here from
Yeah.
90 up to 125.
And quick in the comments, what ginger beer do I use? Always Gosling's if you can find it. Gosling's is the sweet one. You don't want the hard, spicy stuff.
No.
It overbearing. If you're going to drink it in a cocktail, definitely try to get the Gosling's. even if you're on the keto, the diet thing, you can hit it with the diet one, which actually we did tonight, and you can't tell the difference. So
yeah, especially when you're just adding it in as a mixer, it's perfect.
yeah, completely. So all right, tonight we are doing our sip, sink, or save, and it is brought to you by Brad Carey Realty tonight. So very stoked to have Brad helping us out here as a sponsor of the show. Big thanks to them. Check them out for all your housing needs. Brad Carey on Facebook. Very, very stoked to have it. So, all right, Jim, tonight we're kind of flexing tonight. I mean, let's not lie. We have Colonel E.H. Taylor, Straight Rye, Thomas Handy, Sazerac Rye, and a Midwinter Night's Dram, Act 9, Scene 5. Now, Jimmy, what does the act and the scene mean?
So the act is the annual release. So this is the 9th year they've released it, and it's produced by High West. And they've had several other different releases.
I have a 2 and a 3 personally.
There's a 3 on the end of the bar that's really good. And that's not flexing. It's just, it's very different though. Every year has been very good. They're all different. And like I said, I was fortunate enough to get a 9. But the act, it's the release. What was interesting to me finding out is the scene is the day of the week it was dumped. So you think there's something special with the scene? It's Monday through Friday.
Well, there you go. So, yeah, actually, I had an Act 9 Scene 3 yesterday. And there's, it's no difference. I mean, it's the blend is what goes into the bottle. So, all right. Jim Range.
We're letting you go first tonight.
Oh, okay. Wow, way to throw that on me. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go down the row and just kind of give a little explanation of all of them here. All right, Midwinter Night's Dram. It's very sweet. It has a great spicy note that almost reminds me of spice cake. And so whenever we say spicy and rye, we actually mean like a spice. It's not that it's hot. It's not that it's overly proofed so it burns going down. It is a very spicy flavor, but it's also very sweet on the front end. Handy, very floral to me. It's very soft on the nose, kind of kicks you in the back end. And that's with being that high proof. So at 126 proof, that is definitely the highest proof on the table at the moment. And then Colonel E.H. Taylor, one of the greats, bottled in bond at 100 proof, straight rye whiskey here. All right, so for my everyday sip, I love the flavor of Midwinter Night's Dram. So that would be the one that I would want to have a little bit of every day. Colonel Taylor and Thomas Handy are both very hard to find bottles.
Well, they all are. That's what's really interesting tonight. I mean, if you think about our last one, we talked about, not to interrupt you with it, but Craig's choice is where all I can find this daily, so that would be my daily.
Right.
You can't find any of these to have a daily sipper.
That is a true statement. So if you're lucky enough to land a bottle of any of them, you're not going to pour any of them down the drain. But for me, my daily sipper is going to be the Midwinter Night's Dram. My save for the special occasions. This is a tough one, Jim. This is a tough one. But I am going with the Colonel. E.H. Taylor, to me, is one of the smoothest drinking ryes that gives you everything that you want in a rye. It has the correct nose. It has a great over-the-palate feel to it, and it gives you just enough spice in the back to know that you are drinking something that is over 51% rye grain. And so, delicious. Down the sink is the Thomas H. Handy Sazerac, one of the Buffalo Trace antique collections, which people would kill me to hear that say, and I'm sure that I'm going to get blown up by the whiskey guys in the chat, but it's going down the drain. So my sip is Midwinter Night's Dram. My down the sink is Thomas H. Handy, and my save for all of my special friends, that's going to be the E.H. Taylor Straight Rye. All right, Jim Range, sip, sink, and save. I hit you hard, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Like hard.
You did. And I'm kind of laughing at Craig sink them all.
Yes, well,
But I expected that.
Absolutely.
I am going to have a little bit more of the Handy.
I mean, that's
just
fair.
because I don't drink it enough.
Also, let us know in the chat what your sip, sink, and save would be tonight.
So this is probably one of the toughest ones we've had. And we've had some tough ones. across the board.
This is a tough one, but it's like you said, because you don't really have a sipper in the bunch because you're not going to get it every time you go to the store.
I mean, you can see it. I got that Thursday, and we're getting close to a third of the way through the bottle. It's not going to last too long.
Not at all.
But, and everybody that knows me that's been around, I like to age my Manhattans.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little mini barrel that I age them in. And my go-to for that is the Colonel.
Oh, all right. All right.
So, excuse me. So the Colonel is something that's always been special to me.
Sure.
But, I mean, I enjoy all three. I mean, I was on a hunt for the midwinters having had Act 3.
Sure. Oh.
So, as much as I hate to align with Jeremy, and I was curious because I wanted him to go first because I knew what mine were.
Right.
And I want to hear him because we don't always align.
No, we do not always agree.
Don't. There's always something that we get a little bit of a twist on, especially with what are we saving and why.
Right, right.
So I kind of alluded to what my save's going to be, but my sipper, just because it's so smooth and so flavorful, is Midwinter Night's Dram. Mm-hmm. My sink is going to be handy. I love it. It's really good. But when I look at the overall picture,
I love it.
It's out of the three in this situation, it's not going to be a daily, and it's not going to be something I break out for the occasion. I will break it out for the guys who, hey, I want to have a drink of it.
Yeah.
Then we broke out for that. But for a normal person, when I look at the Colonel, I look at how I utilize it for making my Manhattans. I age them with it. I mean, if I could pick up the Colonel every day and stock up,
completely.
I would, because I love to sip it, I love to share it, and I love to use it for my Manhattans. So to me, it's Midwinter Night's Dram is my sip. I'm going to sink the handy, and I'm going to save the Taylor.
You know, our whiskey friends are just going to beat us down for this one, but
that's what I love about this segment of our show.
Exactly, because it's so subjective, but it also there's a lot of it based in fact and flavor. So let us know what you think on our Twitter at MMA Bourbon or on Instagram at MMA Bourbon Society for your Sip, Sink, and Save. Let us know what you think, but we've also got a few other ryes up here, so you may see us, grabbing a pour from something else. Actually, I'm going to jump into a little bit of Angel's Envy finished rye at the moment. So,
which, honestly, I have not opened that in a while or had a sip of it in a while. And I opened it up and it was like, wow, the honey in it, because you get a honey flavor from it.
Oh, completely.
It jumped out, and I was like, I forgot how sweet that was. So for somebody who likes a little bit of the spice on the end, but that sweetness up front, Angel's Envy rye is incredible.
Also, can we just take a minute to say that I am super impressed that producer Matt finished a 145 proof pumpernickel rye pour neat. So what that basically means is I hope that this show is going actually correctly, because Matt's probably just hurting like a champ over there. So
because I opened it, and I won't use the words I use because my mother's watching.
Right, exactly. But it was everything you ever wanted. High proof, good rye. So
it's got everything I dream of.
there you go. So and maybe that'll hit the market someday.
That's right.
Just saying. So, but all right, that is going to do it for our whiskey segment. Let us know what you guys want us to sip, sink, and save. I mean, we've got a few coming up that we have had asked about, and we will kind of tease a little bit of that.
So one more thing I forgot to throw out earlier.
Hit me with it.
So George T. Stagg, what are they doing with the barrels?
Well, so I actually heard this.
I did too. That's what I wanted to bring it up because it's interesting to me.
Yeah, they're going to let them sit a little longer.
They're going to watch them
and see if that it comes out to be something better in 16 years.
Or something they throw out as a special release.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that led me to one other thing, which was my gotcha of whiskey tonight. I wasn't going to go this route, but I think we will now. Is it a publicity stunt? As crazy as the whiskey market is, did they need this as a publicity stunt again?
No, BT does not need a publicity stunt.
Fair. Okay.
Fall release BTEC is what everybody chases. I mean, you saw what happened with Midwinter Night's Dram. I mean,
and that's just a High West
product. And that's just a High West product, which it's been around for 100+ years.
Right.
High West has. So, I mean, it's not like it's the unknown distillery.
No.
But no, I mean, I truly think
You truly think
The
that
pride
it
they
just didn't
take
hit it?
in the
Okay.
consistency,
All right.
for some reason it didn't hit.
All right, well, very interesting. Moving on into the world of boxing and mixed martial arts, we have to jump out first and foremost. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. You are the boxing guy, Jim. How excited, number one, were you for the trilogy fight?
I wasn't sure about the trilogy.
Really?
Because it was 0-1 or 1-0-1 for Fury.
Fair.
But, I mean, you throw the draw in there, so okay, fine. You got the knockdown. Because on top of it, Fury got knocked down in that second fight. So, that part, it was.
I mean,
I'm not
Fury
a huge
was
fan.
out and came back.
Right.
That's impressive. I mean,
But what's interesting with this fight, take it forward.
Oh, yeah.
Wilder went down 3, Fury went down twice in the same round.
Mm-hmm. It was one of those kind of fights that I think brought back the love of boxing for a lot of people because everyone is talking about this fight. We have left a certain group of YouTube brothers behind now, and we've got back to real boxing.
Yep.
And that's what this sport needed. I think I have cracked up producer Matt back there on that one. So
Who I wish he would speak more.
I really do too. Sometime he's going to get a microphone at least. But no, I think that this brought back boxing for real. The idea of the heavyweight champion, the ideas of Mike Tyson, Ali, Joe Frazier, these names. Now you throw in the Gypsy King with that name now.
Exactly.
I think he is probably, as it has been mentioned, I think he is probably the greatest boxer of our time.
You know what? I think that's the key right there.
Of our time.
It is. And it's his generation.
Yes. But I think that it gave such a show. There was so much going on in it. The technical fight, the ideas of all of the knockdowns, because people were getting hurt.
But
I mean, and that's what it's really about in the heavyweight game. I mean, it's about knockouts, it's about big punches. You know, Floyd Mayweather, they may say is boring. Floyd Mayweather is the single greatest counterpuncher that has ever lived in the sport of boxing. I don't care what anybody says. Is true. But this is what boxing is all about. It's about how to use the jab. It's about how to follow through and seeing what happens when the big boys swing.
But the funny thing is, all right, Tyson went down twice.
Mm-hmm.
Same round.
Yeah.
But watch his head movement. Watch his body movement. The guy's a defensive fighter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's 270 pounds, and he moves like he's $180.
Completely. He moves cruiserweight.
He
completely.
does. And when you watch him, he's fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's the spectacle. Everyone loves the spectacle of it. Even Craig, who is in the chat room, is like, that fight was amazing. Absolutely it was. And Craig is not a boxer. He is a self-proclaimed, he's not a boxer. Also,
he despises boxing.
Also, we do have some comments in here that we are getting thumbs down for the fact that we sank the handy. So thank you very much for your comments out there, Mr. Connor. But it was beautiful. It was great to see boxing in the forefront again, and I, for one, am happy about it because we also got some really kind of screwed up news in the world of MMA.
I mean, and the thing with the boxing part, too, to continue on that just for a little bit.
No, yeah.
Is you've got fighters from other genres, MMA and that, who are commenting on that fight.
Yes.
Talking about how incredible it was, about speaking about the level Fury's at. So, I mean, that's the thing to me, that you got the heavyweights back that are being talked about like they're a welterweight.
I love the idea of it. I really do. And I think that going forward, if now, you know, there's talk of the potential if Deontay Wilder does decide to fight again, that it's going to be him and Anthony Joshua.
Well, so here's my question. What's the next fight for the heavyweights at the belt level? Is it Fury versus Usyk, or does Joshua get a rematch? Joshua deserves a rematch in my mind before they fight for a unified championship.
Oh, but after Anthony Joshua's performances, I don't see him being the type of person. I don't see him deserving a shot yet at Fury. I don't.
I'm not putting him at Fury.
No.
I'm putting him back at Usyk.
Okay, so you're talking Usyk versus Anthony Joshua.
Usyk versus Joshua
as a rematch.
As a rematch. Go ahead and go a second fight there,
Oh,
and now come
man.
back for a unified. Or do you go for unified right up front? Because if Fury takes one, I don't see anybody beating Fury. The guy can take a punch from anybody. I mean, Wilder's the heaviest hands in the sport.
Right. Completely.
We haven't seen hands like that in decades.
No, we haven't seen
since
that.
Tyson.
We have not seen that since Tyson.
Right. So when you look at it like that, where do you take the belt? I think you give a rematch to Joshua Usyk, and then
And those two take Fury. Whoever
and then the
wins
winner
that
takes
one.
Fury.
Interesting. Let us know what you think. Who should be the next test for Tyson Fury? And also, I'm just going to throw it out there while we finish up our boxing talk here. I'd promised that I wasn't going to bring them up, but producer Matt's giving me the look. He knows what's coming. So there has been a lot of calls out from Jake Paul to the other Mr. Fury of Tommy Fury. After we watch that fight, does Tommy Fury deserve to fight Jake Paul?
The performance he put on, knowing he's sitting there looking $1 million fight, no. But the sad part is Fury goes, I don't get out of bed for $1 million. So, I mean, the performance
Fair.
you threw, come on. The Fury's fight was terrible. Tommy Fury's fight was terrible.
It was. It was a lackluster. Looked like you were watching an Amy boxing
No
fight
energy.
without. Yeah, it
No
looked like you were watching an
control
Amy
of the
boxing fight without
Right.
headgear. All right, let us know
So-
what you think on that one too. I'm throwing that one to the audience, and I'm going to let it go.
Yeah, we'll let it go on
that if I agree, our great sponsor Brad Carey, who cares completely and totally, but
I do, Brad.
it needs to be talked about solely because number one, he's got the name. Fury is the name. He's going to ride his brother's coattails into that, and Jake Paul sees it as it's the first time I could beat a real boxer.
Well, and here's the thing.
Quote, unquote,
Jake
real
Paul's not
boxer.
going away until he gets beat by somebody legit or gets beat and won't come back.
Very fair.
I mean, we've proven that.
Very fair. All right, moving on then into the world of mixed martial arts. Like I said, it has been a rough week in the world of mixed martial arts for some very prominent fighters.
Several.
Yeah, Chuck Liddell, John Jones, and others. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at others. We'll leave it at others. So John Jones, apparently now he's found Jesus yet again, which is good. I didn't know he was missing.
Well, every time he gets in trouble, he finds them.
Right. So, but talk about, Jimmy, what this does to John Jones's legacy as he is being inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame to now get a domestic for beating his wife and headbutting a police car.
Well, here's the thing that is interesting to me. Because it's John Jones, we talked about it last show.
Mm-hmm.
Shit happens. It's a fight world. That came from Dana.
That's what he says.
But there's other fighters who get in a situation. It's Matt sitting there teasing us with a picture of a mugshot. I love producer Matt, by the way. I wish he would speak up more instead of just being subtle with the three of us.
But boy, does it ever work.
It does.
So,
but Dana goes and cuts other fighters for it.
yes.
So where is the line drawn on because you're potentially the GOAT? And I say potentially because there's some hell of fighters at the top of the list that everybody's got their own opinion on it.
But he's
Where
right
do you draw
there.
the line?
And he's right there with all of the stuff that he has done.
I mean, 3 weeks ago he's saying one thing. Now it's you're cut. And the Chuck Liddell one.
This is the one that got me.
Well,
because I don't think it's real. I think that.
Did you hear what he said?
Well, he said that he was the one who was abused.
Well, whenever there's a domestic abuse, somebody's going to jail if the cops are called. Somebody
completely.
has to.
Yeah, it's how.
So
it
Chuck's
works.
like, the hell with it. I'm going to go. Let's just do it and get it over with, instead of causing a bigger issue.
Sure.
Now there's three sides to every story. We know that, but I mean, I have no proof that says Chuck's not telling the truth there.
Completely.
But the other two, I mean, there's a history in both situations.
There is there is a history in all of it. And so do we see now with the release of Luis Pena, do we see because they have not said that they're going to release John Jones. Am I correct in that?
His gym did.
Well, that one I think is very interesting. Is that Winklejohn said, "Go get your life together, and then we can talk, but
Right.
don't come back in the gym." That's a giant step when your coach has left you. And
That
it
to
says
me
a
shows
lot.
like
It says a lot about John Jones's character.
That's a character flaw. That's where I was
Absolutely.
going with that. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a tough one out there. So
And the hardest part is, as a fan, you don't ever want to see that negative aspect of their life, because you look at them at a certain level.
they're the heroes.
They're their hero, right?
Completely.
And you don't want to admit that they've got flaws outside of that. But sometimes those flaws, in my mind, override everything that goes on in a professional life.
I agree. And it's a tough one. It's a tough situation for them to be in, but it's real simple. Don't punch your woman. I mean, there it is. Done and done, right? Right. All right, moving on. Speaking of good things that came out of St. Louis, we do have someone in the Bellator light heavyweight Grand Prix. Also, and I'm not just talking about Craig, who's going to be out there for that show, so look for him on Showtime doing his thing. But no, we have some great fights coming up for the light heavyweight Grand Prix.
We definitely do. And I think, with the exception of Craig, we are going to speak. No, because Craig said he's staying neutral.
Absolutely, and I can
working
understand that.
He's got personal opinions. He's friends with all of them.
And he can't say that.
And he's not going to say his opinion.
Right.
I totally respect that. So we said we would discuss our.
Well, all right.
I think Matt's got his on his shirt back there.
Oh, no, but anyway. So, all right. So, first up, it is Nemkov, the champ, taking on Julius Anglictus. And then it's Ryan Bader and
Anderson, right?
And Corey Anderson. Right. So, all right. Jim Range, start us off. Julius versus the champ.
God, I shot.
Oh.
As a shooter, I've shot a hell of a lot of Julius's fights.
I've called his fights.
You called them.
Yeah.
I've shot them. Ami Pro. I mean, the guy's on a hell of a run.
Oh, deserves to be here.
He's going
That's
up.
the big thing. He deserves to be here.
He's earned his shot at being there with the opportunity of a lifetime. I was watching an interview with him today, and he's like, guys, I've got nothing to lose. The pressure's not on me. I can go in and be me. And I love that mindset.
I do too.
We've all seen anything can happen in a championship fight. We've seen it at all levels. And I think he's got a shot. I think Nemkov is a more tactical fighter. And I don't think it's going to be a one-sided fight, though.
I
think it's going to be a very even fight throughout it. I think Nemkov walks away, though.
Okay. Well, as you said, Julius has said, he doesn't have any pressure on him, but he also has the coach in his corner in Mike Rogers, who has shocked the world with others whenever the fight against Pico.
Zach Freeman.
Whenever Zach Freeman
he caught him, boom.
Yep. It's possible. It's out there.
Anything is, yeah.
Anything is possible in the sport, and I think that's awesome. So, all right. Corey Anderson versus Ryan Bader.
You want to go first on this one?
Nope, I don't.
Thanks. God, I flipped the coin on where do I go first, the bourbon or the
fair
or the
fair,
rye or
fair.
I think this one goes the distance, and I think Anderson walks away with a decision. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. They're both going to be very tactical with it. I think it's going to be. I don't see either one totally outshining the other. I don't see a submission or knockout coming from it.
I think that fight, number one, it has the potential to be great, and it has the potential to be a complete snoozer because they are both such good wrestlers.
Right.
Which the average fan is not going to be thrilled with. I do see Ryan Bader taking that fight. I've known Corey for a long time. Used to train in Springfield. Great guy. Has some monster wrestling. I just think that Ryan is good enough to take him down and keep him down. Now, I may eat my words on this because it is. It's a toss-up of a fight. But I am going to pick Ryan Bader in that one. As far as Julius versus Nemkov, I agree. I think that Nemkov may be a little more crisp in the striking. He's been at the championship level before, and I think that plays into it. But I also think that this gives Julius the experience that will make him great.
And
if he does not pull off the upset, which I think is absolutely entirely possible, I think that he could catch him, or I think that he could submit him if it gets to that point. But I think that this provides the experience at the championship level of the highest that only being thrown into this as an alternate and getting the call can do for him.
And I mean, when you speak about Julius, you look at who he's got coaching. He's got Mike Rogers, one of the best grappling coaches around. You've also got Quentin, one of the best striking coaches around.
Yeah, Quentin,
who has competed at the highest levels around the world. So he's got two of the best in his corner.
Absolutely.
Training him right now, preparing for this fight. So he's coming in fully armed.
Well, let us know, who do you think takes it in the Bellator Light Heavyweight Grand Prix in the comments or on Twitter at MMA Bourbon. Let us know what you think of that fight. What other fights, though, are you looking forward to at all coming up here in the world of mixed martial arts?
The weekend of Halloween.
Good call.
You've got UFC, Texera, and Blachowicz.
I think that one has, and I think the funny thing is Glover Teixeira basically was, well, I decided to quit drinking whiskey for this fight.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty hilarious. So, hey, maybe he enjoys a little whiskey with us sometime. So.
And you notice I pulled a Craig there and totally butchered a name.
Well, you were close though. That's fine.
But no, I mean, I think that's gonna be a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, I do too. Looking forward to it. There's a lot of great regional MMA coming up. Go check them out. But tonight has been a fun one. We do miss you, Craig, though. Thank you very much for hanging out in the comments and talking to all the fans out there. So, Jimmy Range, last thoughts.
I mean, the fight world's exciting right now.
It really is.
All the way around, whether you're in MMA, boxing. And what's really fun is the fall release of BTEC hasn't happened yet, so we all got a shot. Get lucky.
Yeah, that's
if
exactly
you get lucky,
it.
think about us, please share.
Yeah, if you get a BTAC, we may invite you on to be the fourth member some night.
And everybody knows that the bar is open when we come to Jeremy's house or mine. So.
Absolutely, it's always open. Tell us what you want to see. Again, tell us what you'd like to see in Sip, Sink, and Save. I've had some real interesting ones lately. A lot of people want to know, like, when I say store picks, I don't mean that the store went and picked a barrel. I mean they want to know, like, what the local grocery Deerberg's bourbon versus the Schnucks bourbon versus the Kirkland bourbon from Costco.
And I'll be honest, I go in Kirkland at least once a week.
To try to
find it at Costco. They are sold out.
Yeah.
I go to Costco.
Apparently it's amazing.
Kirkland. So, do you know who produces it?
It's It's Barton, right?
1792.
Okay,
and it's the same mash bill as 1792.
Well, that would explain a lot. So that should be a fun one to do.
So, 1792 at half to 2/3 the price, and 1792. I mean, it's solid.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
but what we'll do for you is we will get all of the history behind the distilleries that make them, get as much information as we can, and we will bring those to you next time. For Jeremy Johnson and Jimmy Range, we thank you very much, and we will see you right here at the MMA Bourbon Appreciation Society.
Cheers, everybody.